Hello everybody, Mr. RHD here, and I'm going to bring you something different, because I'm assuming that you guys don't like Call of Duty that much. You know, you all watch SmackDown vs. Raw gameplays and the Minecraft gameplays, so you're not huge fans of Black Ops. So I'm going to try something different, and I'm going to bring you some Forza 3 drifting. What I'm going to try to do is to get you to learn how to drift. Not for points, but for battling. So the first step is going to be the car. As you can see, I have many drift cars, but we're going to go with the 1985 Toyota Sprinter Terreno GT Apex, also known as the AE86 or Hachi Roku. Now, just to show you what I have modded on it, this car is set up for battling, so it's a little overpowered, but you can get away with using much less power. So as you can see, I have 336 horsepower, 258 foot-pounds of torque, and the car weighs about 1,900 pounds, 2,000 pounds, which is very light, which is why I don't have lots of power. If you find your car too twitchy, you may want to shove it down to sport weight. Me, I like running it on. I like my cars twitchy and darty. The reason it's such a high PI is because I have it on sport tires. If I had it on stock tires or street tires, it'd be a lot lower. And that's because it is a battle car. I have full width in the back, which is 225, so when you are battling, and maybe, you know, using more higher powered cars, you want to use a bigger tire width. Me, this is all I need right now. And the rim doesn't matter. For drifting, I don't suggest using Forza Aero. You can use standard body kit if you want, but you have to know that when you do use a like a Forza Motorsport racing wing, it's going to change the handling on the upside of your car. And really, in drifting, you want maybe a little bit of downforce with a street wing, but not a lot of downforce. You want your car to, it depends on how light you want it. You don't really want it as light as possible. You want it in your comfort range. When it comes to the engine, I want you to look at more to the bottom left, as you can see that grid. You want your power to torque. You want your power to torque ratio to be like in the last quarter. As you can see, I'm getting as much power. Like I'm getting a very high, nice power to my red line, and that's because I'm going to be in the red line most of the time while I'm drifting. These other engines, I don't know. I just don't like the way they have their power and torque set up. And you can't go wrong with the 4AG. All these I'm just going to talk about two or three upgrades today. Stock aspiration is the best for drifting. It's like, as you can see, it brings down my weight. If you don't need any aspiration, don't have any on the car, because it's going to make your torque, your power to torque ratio a lot better, and the closer that is, the better. A turbo, you don't want a race turbo. You have to avoid race turbos at all costs. Turbos are okay, but you have to remember that the bigger the turbo, the more the lag. So a race turbo, you won't get any power. As you see, if we go to stock aspiration, then go to the turbo, the curve becomes more. It's not as it doesn't go as up as easy. It's steeper. And a supercharger, really, personally, is the best choice if you do need to bump up your power, because it just adds power. It doesn't really screw up your torque and power ratio a lot. So as we've talked about aspirations, I'm going to go talk about camshafts. Camshafts add power, but they don't really add a lot of torque. So if you have like an old muscle car which has a much more torque than power, throw some camshafts in it. If you find that you're getting a little bit too much wheel spin, you want to take down your upgrades in other departments, and change it to your camshafts, so you're getting more top-end power instead of more low-end power. But generally, unless you need it, I would stay away from camshafts altogether. Most of my cars have stock cams or street cams. I just like to keep as much torque as I can have. That's possible. Alright, so we're going to go to our tune. Everyone drifts different. Everyone will have different tunes. This is just what works for me. Personally, I like to have my tires at about 30 psi when warmed up. So what I'm going to do, this tune isn't even right. I'm going to trim that down to that. So when they are warmed up, and your rears will, they're going to spin a lot faster than your fronts, therefore be more pressure building up in the tire. So your tire will get it better. But if you really want to have it at a perfect PSI, then you will have to tune it and go to my tuning. Gearing, I really like to be mid to high third gear while I'm drifting. So in the test setup, I will take a couple practice runs and see how my gear ratio is, and then change it accordingly. My alignment, I try to have as much negative camber on the front as I can. And depending on what the car is, the less rear camber, the more closer to zero, the more flat your tire is, and the faster you go. Personally, that's just what I found. Like I said, everyone has different tunes and different driving styles. I find that it's hard for me to get speed, so that's where I'm making up for it in my tune. But generally, you should never have over 3 or 2.5 in the rear. And if you're not on a wheel, you're going to want lots of toe. It's just going to keep you. It's going to be able to keep your car more stable, and you can throw it in a little bit easier. It's kind of like a handicap. When you're using the wheel, you'll find your toe. People who have like 2.1 or something like that. I usually run about 3.5 in the front, and right now I'm experimenting in the rear, but I just try about 1 degree. Just another note: if you're planning to get into battle drifting, stay away from positive camber. If someone catches you using positive camber, you'll be disqualified. It's pretty much like super duper easy mode. It's like the AK-74U in professional. It's not professional, but in sanctioned drifting, it's banned. So is all-wheel drive, race tires, and any car above S-Class. So R3, R2, R1X, can't use them. Roll bars, I usually have them. What your roll bars do is, like, when you're transitioning, it makes you, the stiffer it is, the less weight the transitions, and I like to have a lot of weight shift when I transition, so I usually have my roll bars for most of my cars around 10.5 to 9.5, depending on how heavy or light they are. If they're light, I can have it a little bit stiffer, because there's less weight to transfer. No, that's backwards. If they're light, I have them softer, because there's less weight to transfer. If it's heavy, I want more, because I don't want too much weight, and then I don't want it to upset my driving. Springs, I usually have the rear softer, the ride height all the way down. That's just how I've always been doing it. I don't understand what it does. You can experiment and then let me know in the comments. And my front's always harder. I find that the stiffer your rear makes it too, like, you want to set your car up to be grippy and then upgrade it as to where it'll slide. Because if you have it, as you can see in the bottom right, it says when you stiffen your springs, it makes your car oversteer. But you don't want it to oversteer too much, because then it'll be hard to hold angles. So you want your car to be very grippy. That's kind of why I have my front stiffer. You can have a little bit more grip, and my rears are a lot softer, because those are doing all the sliding, and those need lots and lots of grip. So we'll go to damping. Damping, I usually set. I usually have the same aspect ratio as my springs. I usually have more towards the bottom, and usually the front is harder than the rear. Sometimes you need more grip in the rear, that's why I stiffen them up. Aero, don't need to worry about that. Braking, depending on whether you're using a wheel or not, you shouldn't need to change your braking. If you're using a wheel, you want to take your brake pressure, unless you're comfortable with the way you're braking. You want to take your brake pressure, put it about 90, 85. But since I'm using a controller, I'm going to have mine regular at 100. Brake balance, I've never touched brake balance. I don't know what it'll do. But you have an e-brake for the front or for the rear tires, and, I just don't touch it. Differential, I was told to keep it at about a 25 gap. And differential essentially is how your rear tires will spin. Like, if you have the acceleration all the way down, that all the way up, it's going to be like a posi. I'm not sure if this is the right word, but like a posi track where one wheel turns and the other one doesn't. And then if you have it both at 100, it's like a welded diff where both wheels turn. So if you have both wheels turning, it'll be a lot easier to spin out. If you have one wheel turning, you can hold lots of angle, but it'll be very hard to keep your drift going. So you want the best balance between those two. I usually find 75 acceleration, 50 decel. To be the best solution. But like I said, this is just what I do. This is what I've experimented and found to work best for me. If, you try something on your car, oh, this sucks, go ahead and try something different, everything that's in the rules. Because if you do decide to get into battle drifting later on, and you're using positive camber now just for points or whatever, you're gonna have to get used to negative. So might as well just start. Oh, there's another thing. No over 700 or 650. Try to keep it under 700. The team rule set is 650, but I think most people think 700 and above is too much. So just try to keep it under 650 horsepower, 700 horsepower. Alright, so that's the tune. As you can see, I edited it a little bit, because this is an older tune of mine. Let's go check. We're at about 10 minutes now, so we'll do a quick test run. The track I learned on, you shouldn't have to learn on Kaido. Kaido it's like a expert track, because of all the elevation changes. What you want is a flat track, just to get used to your setup, get used to slotting a car around. And the best track for that, personally, is Sunset Peninsula Raceway. You want to go to the club circuit. There's another track you could use, is Silverstone National. There's the 2 corners. If you turn around as soon as you start, it's the last 2 corners. They're not a lot of elevation changes, but just have a lot of sustained drifting, and there's only one big transition. I find you can take away a lot more if you go on this track instead. I'm not using any assists at all. I believe I'm using clutch. If you're just starting, you may want to have your ABS on, and you may want to have it just set to manual. You can't use traction control. It won't work properly. You can't use stability. It won't work properly. And you can't use automatic. It won't work properly. So let's throw it in here. Let's just get it warmed up. I'm drifting like crap. You can hear the whine of my supercharger there. Oh, I'm going to lose it. Well, maybe not. We'll go in car. So when I take the run, I'm actually going to put my telemetry on. I would teach you about the battle section for this track, but I don't really think you need to know that yet. So we're going to put my telemetry on so you can see the green is my gas, the red is my brake, yellow's my clutch, and blue is my e-brake. And that's all on the left-hand side below the place, race, and lap timers. When you're battling, you want to get off to a fast start as you can, but it's not really necessary. And contrary to when you're racing, when you're drifting, you're steering with the throttle. The more gas you have, the more your front's going to go away from you, or the more that your back's going to rotate. And you notice me tapping the brakes and trying to shift weight. That was a pretty decent run. And I'm just going to say I meant to do that. I think I should make my roll bars a bit stiffer, but that's just a little intro. If you guys liked it, you want to see more Forza, want to see more drifting tutorials, please leave a comment, like the video, and if you really love Forza, go subscribe to my channel. And I crashed. I will put tunes on the storefront at your request. Just let me know the car, what kind of track you want to tune for, and I will go ahead and do my best. But thanks for watching, everyone. This has been Mr. Rare HD, and I will spin out. I will see you next time. Take care.